Students, today we will study about embryo development up to blastocyst formation. In the previous video, we have studied in detail the process of fertilization. As we know that after the process of fertilization, the structure so formed is called as zygote. The zygote, unlike the sperm or the ovum, is always diploid in nature because it is formed by the fusion of two haploid nucleus, one derived from the sperm and another from ovum. This zygote has to give rise to the entire organism or the fetus, and for that particular purpose this topic has been divided into two components. Number one component is cleavage and another is morula to blastocyst formation. Now, what do you mean by cleavage? Cleavage is progressive division of zygote resulting in the formation of large number of cells but decreasing in its size. However, overall size of zygote remain same. So what we get infer from this definition, again read it carefully. I have used green marker to make you understand again. It is a progressive division of zygote. The large number of cells so formed, they are derived from zygote division. Though zygote is divided into large number of cells, however, overall size of zygote remains same. It means the cells which are formed after each cleavage or each division, they are not undergoing process of growth. Although they are keep on dividing, but growth phase is somewhat absent. That is why overall size of zygote remain same. Hope you understand what I mean to say in the definition. In case of human being, the type of cleavage is always holoblastic. Now, what is holoblastic? Holoblastic means the cell is dividing completely. Next is the type of cleavage, although holoblastic but slightly unequal. It means although the zygote is dividing into cells, but these cells are not equal in size. There are somewhat variation in their size. One cell is large in size, another is small in size. Nucleus to cytoplasmic ratio getting increased, and the rate of respiration is also get increased at the time of cleavage. The process of cleavage is somewhat slow. The first cleavage takes place after 30 hours of fertilization, resulting in the formation of two cells. Then it undergo another part of cleavage after 60 hours of fertilization, give rise to the 4-cell stage, which again undergo cleavage after 72 hours of the fertilization, resulting in the formation of 8-cell stage. These cells are so formed are called as blastomeres. The 8-cell stage then again undergo division and it gives rise to 16-cell stage, which is called as early morula, and then undergo division again and give rise to 32-cell stage, which is called as morula. The cells in the morula is loosely arranged. It is a certain sort of cell aggregates like structure, which later on undergo compactation that we will discuss later on. Hope you have gained the knowledge of cleavage properly. Keep in mind we are going to use this concept herein. This is the diagram showing a part of the female reproductive system. Although I haven't mentioned the part of vaginal system here, what I have included is a part of uterus and fallopian tube as well as one of the two ovary. So as I said, it is a part of female reproductive system. Female reproductive system basically includes two fallopian tube and two ovary. The main motive of our concept is to study where the fertilization take place and how the development takes place after fertilization, and that can be shown by using only one fallopian tube and one ovary. The fallopian tube further consists of parts such as isthmus, ampulla, infundibulum, and fimbriae. The fimbriae are basically finger-like projection. Finger-like projection play a very crucial role in the process of fertilization. The ovary, when release ovum into the body cavity, the finger-like projection, they keep on beating and move the coelomic fluid. This movement of the coelomic fluid cause the movement of ovum toward the fimbriae, and in the fimbriae region there is present ostium, that is opening of the fallopian tube, from where the ovum finds its way into the infundibulum part of the fallopian tube. Some students have thinking in their mind that ovary directly release ovum into the fallopian tube. No, it's wrong. The ovary always release ovum into the body cavity, and from this part the ovum finds its way into the fallopian tube with the help of fimbriae. In the diagram, the ovum has been shown by using green marker, and the arrow represent their movement track. The first arrow indicates the release of the ovum from the ovary, and the second arrow indicates its movement from the body cavity into the infundibulum. Now I am zooming it so that you can understand properly. This is the track where the ovum get entered into the infundibulum. Some students consider that the fertilization take place in the uterus. No, it's wrong. Basically, the fertilization take place either in the infundibulum region or in the lower part of the ampulla. At the time of mating, a male releases millions of sperm. Why he releases millions of sperms? Because the sperm has to cover a long distance right from vagina to the infundibulum. So, higher the number of sperm indicate the high level of probability of reaching the sperm to the ovum. In this video, I will draw only one sperm, because if I draw more than one sperm, that will create some sort of confusion. So, at the time of mating, a male releases sperm in the vagina of the female. These sperm then keep on moving toward the uterus. First it reaches to the lower part of the uterus, then at the middle part of the uterus, and later on it reaches to the upper part of the uterus. Now the question arises is how the sperm is moving. The sperm moves due to the presence of tail. And what is the structure that provides energy for the movement of the tail is, it is a mitochondria which is present in the middle piece. Now back to the topic. The sperm now keep on moving and it reaches to the isthmus region. Again it keep on moving and reach ampulla, and later on finally it will reach at the infundibulum region of the fallopian tube. Now the next task of the sperm is to fertilize the ovum. Since the ovum is surrounded by zona pellucid and corna rarita, so first of all sperm need to penetrate this layer. For the purpose of penetration, the sperm has acrosome that contain the enzyme hyaluronidase. This hyaluronidase enzyme break down the hyaluronic acid that is the cementing material between the corona redita cells. Due to the breakdown of hyaluronic acid, the corona redita layer get broken down and the sperm reach the ovum. As the sperm reach the ovum, its membrane get fused with the plasma membrane of the ovum and the sperm donate proximal centriole as well as the nucleus. Since the process of fertilization has already been discussed, now I will confine that the nucleus so donated by the sperm get fused with the nucleus of the ovum, resulting in the formation of a structure called as zygote. The zygote is always diploid in nature because it is formed by the fusion of two haploid nucleus, one from the sperm and one from the ovum. Surprisingly, the zygote so formed is still covered by the layer of zona pellucid. Why it is so? Basically, the zona pellucid acts as non-sticking layer. It avoids the unusual attachment of the zygote or morula or blastocyst to the wrong side of the uterus or in the fallopian tube. Now the zygote so formed undergo the process of cleavage. And what is cleavage? I have already told you right in the beginning of the video. I am again going to repeat it briefly. Cleavage is the progressive division of the zygote, resulting in the increase in the number of the cells but decreasing their size, and the overall size of the zygote remains same. Now from the figure, the zygote undergo first cleavage and it gives rise to the two slightly unequal cells. These cells undergo further cleavage and give rise to the four cells, and these cells are called as blastomeres. These four blastomeres further undergo another cleavage and give rise to the 8 cell, later on 16 cell, which is called as early morula, and thereafter 32 cells, which are called as morula stage. As from the figure, it is quite evident that the outermost layer of zona pellucid is still present, which is indicated by the green marker. Since the cells or the blastomere in the morula are somewhat loosely arranged, no, they undergo the process of compactation and form a ball-like structure. During this process, the cells, that is blastomere, undergo differentiation also. They give rise to two type of cells. The outer cells, which I have shown by using red marker, are called as trophoectoderm, whereas the inner cell are also called as inner cell mass. Again, in this structure, the zona pellucid layer is still intact. Now the cells keep on secreting the fluid which get accumulated near the inner cell mass and push it toward the one pole, which is always the animal pole. And these cells become confined as a knob-like structure. The structure so formed, now called as blastocyst. Blastocyst is the structure which get attached to the uterus. Now we will explain the structure of blastocyst in detail. The outermost layer of the blastocyst is called as zona pellucid. Following the outermost layer, there is present another layer called as trophoblast layer or trophoectoderm. Inside the trophoectoderm, there is a cavity called as blastocele, which is filled with fluid material. While on the animal pole, there is present inner cell mass, or which is now called as embryonic node. The cells of the trophoblast, which are in directly contact with embryonic node, now they called as cells of Rober. The animal pole, where is embryonic node is present, is called as embryonic pole. However, the opposite pole is called as abembryonic pole. This means that blastocyst has two well-confined poles: embryonic pole, where the embryonic node or the embryonic cells are present, and abembryonic pole, So students again go through the video and study it properly.